Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into spiral dynamics, specifically Stage Orange.
Right.
You guys have sent in a ton of articles and videos about this,
Yeah.
and I'm already so fascinated by this idea.
Yeah.
So we're going to explore this worldview that's all about ambition and innovation and reaching for the stars.
Exactly. It's that stage where logic and science and strategy really kind of take center stage.
Yeah.
Think go-getters, the achievers,
Mm-hmm.
the folks who are really pushing the boundaries in business and technology.
Yeah, and from what I've been seeing in these sources, Stage Orange emerges when societies start to question blind faith and tradition. It's almost like a pendulum swing away from like a rigid blue, like the strict religious structures or anything like that, to a more individualistic, prove it to me mindset,
Absolutely.
which is so interesting to think about.
Yeah, and that shift towards personal achievement, I think that's where things get really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We see the rise of capitalism, we see this explosion in science and technology and this huge focus on material success.
So are you basically telling me that Stage Orange is the driving force behind Silicon Valley Wall Street, even those late night infomercials?
Pretty much. But, it's also the driving force behind, think about the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution,
Oh, wow.
even democracy itself. This is where we see these huge leaps forward in human progress.
That's amazing, but there's also a ton of material here about like the downside of Stage Orange too.
Oh, yeah.
Environmental damage, corporate greed, that winner-take-all mentality.
That's the crucial point, right? Orange's strengths can also become its weaknesses.
Right.
It's this unchecked drive for progress that can lead to exploitation, of people and of the planet.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance, finding that ethical core.
Well, and that's where things get a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
Because Orange isn't really about fuzzy feelings or spiritual stuff.
No, it's very much like logic results, bottom line. Exactly. Precisely. So this is where we start to see, Orange bumping heads with other worldviews, particularly green, which is all about community and compassion.
Interesting.
We see this clash play out everywhere, in politics and business, even in our personal relationships.
Okay, so help me understand this.
Sure.
Why should our listeners care about all of this?
Yeah.
Like, why is spiral dynamics and specifically this Stage Orange
Yeah.
something that our listeners should even care about?
I think it's about understanding the forces that are shaping our world and shaping your own thinking, recognizing Stage Orange. I think it really helps you to kind of navigate the complexities of our times.
Okay, I'm starting to get it now.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really stuck out to me in this Orangey Spiral Dynamics Integral article is they talk about how like Orange values things like money, sex, and luxury.
Yeah.
How does that manifest in like healthy and unhealthy ways?
Well, I think it's interesting, right? Because it can go both ways. On the one hand, you have this drive to create wealth, to enjoy life's pleasures, to surround yourself with beauty. And that can be this really powerful motivator for innovation and creativity.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it can kind of tip over into excessive materialism,
Right.
where the pursuit of these things becomes an end in itself, and it leads to emptiness and dissatisfaction.
So it's really all about finding that balance
Yeah.
and harnessing that ambition and that drive to create something that's really meaningful,
Right.
not just chasing external validation or possessions.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the article also mentions these sayings like, when you want to do it, you can do it.
Right.
The sky's the limit. And even one of my favorites, if you do what you did, you get what you got.
I love that one.
I know. What do these mottos tell us about the Stage Orange mindset?
I think it highlights this really deep-seated belief in personal agency and the power of individual action.
Yeah.
Stage Orange individuals, they really often have that can-do attitude. They're not afraid to take risks, to experiment, to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
They believe that they can shape their own destiny.
Sure.
And that success is within their reach if they're willing to put in the work.
I love that optimism and that sense of possibility.
Yeah.
But does that ever create like blind spots when it comes to acknowledging things like systemic issues or social inequalities?
That's a great question. And I think that's where things get really interesting, right? Because Stage Orange, with its emphasis on individual merit and hard work,
Yeah.
it can sometimes struggle to fully grasp the impact of systemic issues or privilege.
Okay.
It's a worldview that can sometimes lead to overlooking or downplaying the role of external factors and social structures in shaping individual outcomes.
So it's really important to be aware of that potential blind spot.
Right.
And to recognize that while individual action is important, it's also crucial to address systemic issues and try to create a level playing field for everyone.
Yep.
Now, the article also gives some examples of like healthy and unhealthy expressions of stage orange.
Right.
So walk me through some of those.
Well, they point to people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in their early careers as examples of healthy orange, individuals who channeled their drive and their innovation to really make these significant contributions to technology and business. I mean, they revolutionized industries and created products that changed the way we live and work.
Yeah.
However, they also highlight examples like the Enron scandal and the predatory lending practices during the financial crisis as examples of unhealthy orange.
Yeah.
These are cases where the pursuit of profit and personal gain just came at the expense of ethical considerations,
Right.
leading to widespread harm and damaging consequences.
That's such a stark contrast.
Yeah.
And really highlights the importance of having that ethical core when you're navigating stage orange. What about companies? Are there any examples of stage orange at play in the corporate world? This actualize.org video dives into this too. They mention companies like Amazon and Disney as prime examples of stage orange in action.
Yeah, those companies are known for their ambition, their global reach, their relentless pursuit of growth and innovation. I mean, they've completely transformed their industries and have had a massive impact on, our culture and economy.
And it's fascinating to see how stage orange values can drive both incredible progress and, as we discussed, potential pitfalls. The video also mentioned some controversial figures like Donald Trump and Alex Jones as examples of stage orange.
Right.
But they're quick to point out that these individuals are complex and might embody elements of other stages as well.
It's a good reminder that we can't simply categorize individuals into these neat little boxes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people are multifaceted and their worldviews can evolve and change over time. Spiral Dynamics provides a framework for understanding these different stages, but it's not about labeling people.
Yep.
It's about recognizing these patterns of thinking and behavior and how they influence the world around us.
And that's what makes this so interesting to explore. So speaking of different stages, let's talk about stage green, from what I'm gathering. It seems to emerge as a counterbalance to some of the excesses of stage orange.
I think that's a great observation. Stage green arises when people begin to question the individualistic, competitive nature of stage orange and start to prioritize values like community harmony and social justice.
Okay.
It's a shift from me to we,
Interesting.
a recognition that we're all interconnected and that our well-being is intertwined.
This article describes green as the sensitive self, which seems to be a stark contrast to the more logical-driven nature of stage orange.
Yeah, stage green places a high value on things like empathy, compassion, emotional intelligence. It's about fostering a sense of belonging and creating a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued.
Okay.
It's about collaboration, working together to address social and environmental issues.
So if stage orange is all about ambition and achievement, stage green is more about cooperation and care.
Exactly. It's a different way of looking at the world, one that prioritizes the well-being of the collective over individual gain.
But wouldn't that also present its own set of challenges? Could that emphasis on consensus and avoiding conflict sometimes lead to inaction or difficulty making tough decisions?
That's a valid point. Stage green, with its focus on harmony and inclusivity, can sometimes struggle with setting boundaries or positivity, where negative emotions are suppressed or invalidated in the name of maintaining a positive vibe.
So it sounds like finding the right balance is key here as well. It's not about becoming overly sentimental or avoiding difficult conversations. It's about integrating that compassion and empathy with clear action and a willingness to tackle challenges head on.
Absolutely. It's about harnessing the strengths of stage green. Its focus on community, its commitment to social justice, its emphasis on emotional intelligence, while also recognizing its potential pitfalls and finding ways to navigate them effectively.
I'm curious about how this shift from orange to green actually plays out in the real world. Are there any examples of stage green in action that really highlight its values and impact?
The video provides some insightful examples. They talk about social justice movements like Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ plus rights advocacy, and environmental activism as prime examples of stage green values in action.
Yeah.
These movements are all about people coming together to fight for equality, inclusion, and the well-being of the planet.
Those are powerful examples of collective action and people uniting to create a more just and compassionate world.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and working together to create a world that works for everyone.
It makes me think of those times when I felt deeply moved to speak out against injustice or rally behind a cause. I believe it's those moments when you feel connected to something bigger than yourself, driven by a sense of purpose and a desire to make a difference.
That's a great example of how stage green can manifest in our lives. It's that urge to contribute to something larger than ourselves, to be a part of a community that's working towards a shared goal.
So for our listeners, think about those moments when you've felt that pull towards activism, that desire to connect with your community, or that surge of empathy for others. Those experiences might be hinting at the presence of stage green values within you.
Yeah, it's about tapping into those values and exploring how you can integrate them into your life. How can you contribute to creating a more just compassionate and sustainable world?
This deep dive is making me think about my own values and how I can bring more of that stage green energy into my life. And this is just the beginning of our exploration. We're just scratching the surface of spiral dynamics. There's so much more to uncover.
Yeah. We're just getting started. In our next segment, we'll delve into the fascinating and often challenging dynamic that unfolds when stage orange clashes with stage green.
It feels like that clash is happening everywhere these days, from political debates and social media to our workplaces and even within families. Yeah, it's like that age-old tension between individual ambition and the well-being of the collective.
Right.
Orange is striving for success, and then green is focused on making sure everyone has a fair shot at achieving it.
That's a great way to put it. And I think this clash often stems from fundamentally different perspectives.
Okay.
Stage orange, with its focus on personal responsibility and meritocracy, it can sometimes perceive stage green's emphasis on social justice and equality as a threat to individual freedom and achievement.
The video calls this the battle between individualism and collectivism.
Yeah.
Orange sees the world as this competitive playing field where everyone has the opportunity to succeed based on their own efforts. While green emphasizes interconnectedness and the responsibility we have to support one another and ensure everyone has access to the same opportunities.
Exactly. And those contrasting viewpoints, they can lead to some pretty heated debates.
For sure.
Think about the discussions surrounding climate change, for example.
Okay.
Someone coming from a stage orange perspective might prioritize economic growth and technological solutions as the primary way to address the issue.
Right.
Whereas someone with a stage green lens might emphasize the need for systemic change regulations and collective action to reduce our environmental impact.
Yeah. It's like those conversations where people are talking past each other.
Totally.
Each side firmly entrenched in their own worldview. It can feel almost impossible to find common ground.
Absolutely. And that's where I think understanding these stages can be so helpful. It allows you to step back and really see the underlying values and motivations driving those differing perspectives.
Right.
It's not about labeling one side as right or wrong, but rather recognizing that people are approaching the issue from different angles, each with their own set of priorities and concerns.
So how can we navigate this clash in a more constructive way?
Well,
is it even possible to find common ground when these two stages seem so fundamentally at odds?
It's definitely challenging, but I believe it's essential to try.
Okay.
One approach, I think, is to identify areas of shared interests and values. For example, both stage orange and stage green, I think, can get behind the importance of innovation and progress.
Yeah. Orange sees innovation as a key driver of individual success and economic growth, while green sees it as a way to create a more sustainable and equitable future for all.
Exactly. So instead of framing the conversation as a battle between, economic development and environmental protection, the focus could shift to how innovative solutions can benefit both the economy and the planet.
Okay.
It's about finding those win-win scenarios that address the concerns of both worldviews.
I like that it's about looking for those points of convergence where we can leverage the strengths of both stages to create positive change.
Absolutely. Another important element, I think, is cultivating empathy and understanding. It's about making a genuine effort to really see the world through the other person's eyes and acknowledge the validity of their concerns, even if you don't fully agree with their proposed solutions.
So it's about truly listening with the intent to understand.
Yeah.
not just waiting for your turn to speak or refute their points.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think when we approach these conversations with a willingness to understand and a genuine desire to find common ground, we have a much better chance of bridging the gap between stage orange and stage green.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about working together to create a future that benefits everyone.
This deep dive has been so enlightening. I'm already starting to notice these dynamics playing out in my own life and in the world around me.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a whole new framework for understanding different perspectives and navigating those tricky conversations.
And remember, this is just a glimpse into the fascinating world of spiral dynamics.
Right.
There's so much more to explore and discover.
So if you're enjoying this deep dive into Stage Orange and its relationship with Stage Green, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the deep dive for more thought-provoking explorations of the ideas that shape our world.
And we love hearing your thoughts and insights, so join the conversation in the comments below. What aspects of Stage Orange and Stage Green resonated with you the most? And stay tuned for our next deep dive where we'll explore Stage Green, a worldview that emphasizes community, equality, and harmony. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep evolving.